All right, let's jump into a quick freeform tutorial. Super basic, just how to get started. Let me just make sure that we're live. Not yet. Okay, looks like we're live. We got a few people dialing in. All right, so this is super basic, just an overview of freeform, just getting the files in and what to do. I'm going to show you my setup and we'll go from there. So I'm going to make my head a little bit smaller, of course. People say I've got a big head, and I got to get the big size hats, that's for sure. All right. So when you bring in, I always bring in a file in Mesh itself, and I'm just going to move this one. So I'm going to activate this one, and I'm going to pretend that this thing just came in a terrible orientation. Let's just say that it came in, and I know that there's some modifications and such here. I You always, doesn't matter the software, you always want to bring the socket to the adapter, whatever that is, and that way you get your alignment. So I always align posterior, which is F2 on your keyboard. So F2, and then you bring it down to the adapter. Now, these adapters are ones that I've created in Fusion 360, and this one specifically is a Bulldog adapter. So I'm going to go F2, and I'm going to put this on. So with Freeform, the bottom button, let's see if I can show the bottom button right here, is your tool button. The top button manipulates the camera. So we're going to go back to F2. So I'm looking at the hamstrings, kind of bringing this in, landing, and then I'm going to go F3, and you can see that I'm way off. So I'm just going to, I'd say it's the worm. I'm going to bring this back to the socket, and all I'm doing is lining this up, and you only have to do this one time. And I know that there's other apps that do it, a little bit faster. Maybe you mark a couple things, and that's fine. And you can use those and then bring stuff into Freeform as well. And that's always an interesting way to do it. So let's just call that good. All right. So we've got uh, Oqton Freeform. Our piece is aligned. It's very easy to get back where we need to go. So this is posterior, medial, lateral. Um, we've got a proximal view, and then we can also go an anterior view. And so, we're really externally rotated. So let's just change that real quick. So I'm just rotating with my haptic device, and it's a that's a compound rotation. So, and that's one of the other interesting things that you're able to do when it's with a haptic device, because you have not only the rotation going side to side here, but then the rotation this way, up and down, and rotation side to side. So now we're in place, I think. Let's just make sure. Looks like we need to come anterior. All right, so now what's next? So we've got the mesh. The mesh looks like a lot of triangles. We're going to actually take that mesh and we're going to make it into a clay body. And you've got a bunch of options, and I always will start with I call it my roughing, which is 1.5 millimeters, and you press apply. So now you've taken all those triangles and you've essentially filled it with 1.5 millimeter cubed pieces of sand. So still rough. You can think about it as plaster, but all those triangles are now essentially gone. And when you manipulate, then you manipulate more of the sand rather than the stretching of the triangles. And I think that's really important. So I always start big when I'm doing my smoothing and anything that I'm trying to blend. 1.5 millimeters seems to be about the go-to. When I start doing some other things, I'll bring it down to maybe 1 millimeter. And then when I'm doing, say, test sockets, I'll be in the 0.75 millimeter. And that's just because the resolution of a printer doesn't really get that much better. And then further down, if I'm going to be doing some patterns or embossing or anything like that, I'll be in the 0.3 millimeters. And so a lot of people ask, well, how do I get the clay coarseness and how do I get some settings in here? So these are my settings. Fine is 0.3, ready is 0.45, 75 is 0.75, medium is 1 millimeter, and roughing. Well, let's see if I can get, oops, I don't know what I just changed it to. There we go. I changed it to zero point 0.3, so super fine. The way that you do that is you go to Tools, and you go to Options, and you go to General, and you go to Clay Courseness, and then you can press Add, and then you can add whichever one you want, and then press Apply. And then you've got your specific clay coarsenesses that you like right in your the program that you want. So it just saves time and it allows you to be consistent and create those workflows with known clay coarsenesses. So little trick for the day, but I hope you like that. That's all I have for you today. We'll probably start getting into trim lines and the modifications that you can do very soon, but I hope this helps you out. So, just so you know, and full disclosure, we are a reseller of Oqton Freeform. We also do training for prosthetics. So, this is advanced 3D. If you're interested and you're in the US, we have two haptic devices that we're willing to share with you if you're interested, and we can get you a trial license as well. And then we can get you a couple files, and then you can, try it out. So if that's you and you're truly interested, a lot of people ask, "Hey, what is the cost?" The cost of Geomagic or Oqton Freeform is roughly $11,500, and it is a perpetual license. So when I say perpetual license, it means it's yours forever. You can choose to stay on a maintenance plan, which gets you updates and warranty and help and all that. There's plenty of people that don't. So it's just something to think about. If you're on a subscription plan and you're paying $500 a month, let's just say average of $500 a month, $6,000 a year. In 2 years, you will have paid $12,000, which is the price of the Oqton Freeform. It's actually one of the most cost-effective programs when you look at it in that way. So years 3 and beyond, even if you stay on maintenance, it's only a few $100s. Under if for Freeform, under $100 a month at that point, and literally you can do anything you want to. So I am a big fan, and like I said, from year 2 and on, it's a negligible cost compared to some of the subscription models out there. So check it out. Drop me a DM if you want to try Oqton Freeform. If you have any questions or something that you'd want me to cover, let me know, and we'll see about doing that for you. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great week. And if you're going to be informed next, I'll see you tomorrow.